Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper of Indian Express, the editorials part. That is 12th November 2016. The first article is related to In the Name of the Poor Again. Now, the demonetization drive which is going on in the country, is this impacting the poor or is it meant for the betterment of the lives of the poor? Now, if you critically analyze, there is a Laffer curve which can explain this situation. When the tax rates are very high, the governmental income decreases. In India, if I have to find fault with someone, I will find fault with the government first, then goes with the citizen. Because the tax rates, when we compare with the similar countries, are very high in India. So that's why the tax returns are expected to be low. And second is, government consciously encouraged the growth of the black money. That's an extreme statement, but if you carefully listen to it. So the government has accepted that there is a difference between the value for registration and the market price. So in this scenario, obviously how this difference has to be paid by the individual. So that is what is the question. If black money need to be arrested, the first is the real estate sector need to be controlled. And then there has to be normalization of buying and selling in the real estate sector. It has to properly move through the defined norms. So in this context, if we are unable to regulate the generation of the black money at the source, curtailing it completely is going to be a daydream. So in this context, the author supports the demonetization move of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. At the same time, he also clearly states that there has to be a greater incentive for the citizen to pay the taxes. And added to that, India has to update or else improve its tax to GDP ratio. If we observe, not even 2% of the total population is paying the taxes in India. So the direct taxes has to be improved. And Thomas Piketty has clearly stated that in India, the rich people need to take the responsibility for the poor. So it means the rich people has to pay the taxes, and the increase in direct taxes income to the government will lead to the betterment of the lives of the poor. That is what is the article. And coming to India and healthcare scenario, if you observe, the non-communicable diseases are increasing in India. According to sustainable developmental goals, we want to bring them by one third by 2030. If non-communicable diseases have to be decreased, we need to focus on their etiological factors. The major reason over here is the smoking. So in India, the smoking, in the name of the protecting the interests of the poor, the BD manufacturers, etc., the taxation is very less. So a healthcare cess can be imposed on the cigarettes to discourage the people from consuming the cigarettes. The same activity was taken in Thailand and Philippines, and it has given very positive results. India can also disincentivize the consumption of the cigarette. And the second thing is, the cigarette or tobacco is not just used for smoking in India. The smokeless consumption is also very high, which is leading to the higher incidence of cancers. So that's why a tax is essential on the same thing. The editorial page, the nuclear loose talk. This article is related to the recent discussion of Manohar Parrikar on the nuclear doctrine of India. The important highlight of the nuclear doctrine is no first use. It means India will not use its nuclear weapons against a nuclear weapon nation in the first instance. It will use the nuclear weapons as a strategic deterrence for its second strike capability. And the second thing is, India will not use nuclear weapons against any other country which do not have the weapons of mass destruction. So, based on this, India claims itself as a responsible nuclear power. So, in this context, the defense minister's defense minister words have clearly stated that he is not in favor of the no first use policy as it takes away the strategic uncertainty which a policy shall hold for. The surprise element which acts as a deterrence to the other countries might be lost in this particular policy. Such a casual remark is going to undermine the India's very policy stand in the international arena. The Pakistan and China can project these words as an example that India lacks commitment towards its nuclear policy. So such a loose talk can be avoided at the highest level in the government. Coming to the listen to the quote. It is about Sutlej Yamuna link canal. Now here I want to make one statement. The political climate need to be built in a particular state by the political parties so that the constitutional process will work without any deterrence. So it means necessary political climate has to be ensured by the state government and all the political parties in the state together to maintain the national unity. And further to this, the long-term national perspectives rather than the provincial gains or political gains shall matter to the people of a particular state. So in this context, the Sutlej Yamuna link canal problem or dispute expected to be stretched too much, and it is the time the Punjab listens to the Supreme Court to avoid any constitutional crisis. Now, white with rage, let us understand this article. And the similar editorial also has come up in Hindu. Now, if you see the voting behavior of Americans, majority and minority divide is clearly visible. If we observe the demographics, as of now, the 60% of the population are the whites. But by 2040-50, the whites are going to lose their majority in the demographics of United States of America. So, in this scenario, there appears to be certain apprehensions growing among the white community. So that is clearly visible in the southern and midwest states in the United States of America. So if we observe the polls, most of the white population, they have voted towards Mr. Trump, and the immigrant community and the minorities have favored the Hillary Clinton. And the second thing is, there are clear among the women, the white women have favored Trump in spite of his misogynistic comments. So in this context, it shows that if demographic subcategories are identified, there is a clear divide between the white and the other population in the United States of America. And the second thing is, though Hillary Clinton has won the popular vote, she has lost the presidential election because in America, the presidential election is based on the electoral college. According to this, if any candidate gets a majority in a particular state, all the votes of that electoral college of that state has to support him. Because of this, Trump has won the elections, though Hillary got the popular vote. That's why American elections are also said to be the indirect elections. Coming to the editorial of Hindu, the Punjab legislative adventurism already we have discussed. The short arc that led to Donald Trump. It talks about the recent elections in the United States of America. Now, if we observe the voting behavior of the Americans, most of the voters, white voters, they have favored the Donald Trump. And even among the women, the whites have favored the Donald Trump. That clearly shows that there is an ethnic and racial divide among the Americans too. And the second thing is, American voters are also polarized across the political parties. So that's why the final election outcome will be decided by few swing states and certain population who are changing their loyalties from one party to the other party. It means that as like in India, the voting behavior of many of the voters is also very fixed in the United States. And the third thing is, the voting percentage is around 48% in US, which is very less this year. And finally, the Hillary Clinton, as I said before, she got the popular vote, but the major electoral votes are being gained by the Donald Trump as he got the victory over the swing states. So in these circumstances, what we can say is the divides are still existing in America. How they will take the America forward is a major question. So the forefathers of America, the former presidents such as Lyndon Johnson, they are responsible for building such a pluralistic, diversified society. The strong human resources are the wealth of United States even today. So in this context, the immigration policy played a backbone for the might of the United States. So in this context, the Trump's rhetoric on the immigration, how it will help America, we need to see in the future. So these are the articles for today. And the live mint I have went through, and there are no important articles, that's why I left it aside. These are more than sufficient. What I am observing is most of the articles, they get repeated in the editorials across the newspapers. But however, I will continue discussion in such a way, and these videos will also be available for you on the Civils Daily website and also on their YouTube channel very soon. Thank you very much and all the best.